Welcome to the Art Colony, a podcast about art and art history in Provincetown. My name is Gaston Lacombe. Since I started this podcast, I've had many people coming up to me to recommend guests, and I really appreciate that since I don't know everyone and everything in the arts and literature scene here in Provincetown. So keep on recommending. And consistently, one artist has been recommended to me more than all others.
Wow.
Much more. And I'm happy to say this is our guest today.
Woohoo.
She has received fellowships from, amongst others, the Guggenheim, the Pollock Krasner Foundation, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and was honored with a Lifetime Award for Artistic Excellence by the Provincetown Art Association and Museum. So we are talking today, of course, to Marian Roth.
Hi.
Hi, Marian.
Hi, darling.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you were able to make it.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us, who is Marian Roth?
I came to Provincetown in 1982. I came with a group of women. There were 5 of us, and 4 of them were writers. I was doing photography at the time, and we started a little school for writers called Freehand. That lasted about 4 years or 5 years. During that time, and I guess from then on, I began a life in art in Provincetown. I had another career before I came. I was a professor of political science, and but always deep in my heart, I saw myself as an artist, but I had no idea how to access that. Then I kind of turned myself. I had students that were photographers, and they started a darkroom, and I taught myself how to do photography. I had this alternate life doing photography, and then when I came to Provincetown, it was like, wow, I could just be this person that I always wanted to be deep in my heart. And so for me, Provincetown has been the place where I can be myself, where I really found my true self. So I have an unending love for this community. And I started out, really, the community, the town has inspired, or whatever word you want to use, my work for all these 40-something years.
So since this is also a history podcast, tell us, 1982 Provincetown, what did it look like? Who was here?
Well, I tell you, I started a series called the Working Women of Provincetown. It was black and white photography, because when I came here, what blew my mind was that women were doing everything. I had never seen that before. Women on ladders painting houses, women building houses, women dentists, lawyers, doctors. I mean, it was carpentry, Jean Marino with her tile business. I mean, it was like women just did everything. And I had come from upstate New York, and even though Syracuse was a big city, women didn't do anything there, really. So for me, Provincetown in the 80s was an excitement of women doing everything. There were a lot of men here, gay men, and I have never had friends that were gay men. So, and there were artists. They were it was wonderful. It was the Art Association. It was just all these things that I had hungered for in my life were here. So it was wild and happy, and you didn't need very much money. I paid $250 a month rent and lived on the water. I mean, it was a beautiful community, really active Portuguese community. The Portuguese people, most of the selectmen were Portuguese, and people fishing. I mean, it was a vibrant community, not really affected by money in the way that it is now. There were no condos. There were just houses, and easy to rent. But you had to move, season to season. It was hard to find a year-round place. I think that anybody that lived through that time that's still here is really hungers for that. But we keep it in our hearts. So hopefully that spirit will overcome all the obstacles that there are now to keeping it.
Who is it that brought you here?
Actually, who brought us here was because I came with this group of women, was Olga Brumas, who was a writer and was Greek and didn't like living in upstate New York. So she hungered for it's not much warmer here, but at least it was in upstate New York. And Rita Spicer was one of the people too. And Rita now uh, runs the lobster pot. So we've all kind of found our way into the community in various ways.
And did you know already that Provincetown was that type of community before you got here, or was all of that
Oh
a
yeah,
surprise?
well, we used to come here from
Okay.
upstate New
Yeah.
York and shop at the Little Rainbow Shop, and Joy McNulty had the first woman-owned restaurant, a Clam Shack, I think it was called. So, it was a very attractive to gay people from upstate New York.
And why do you think that there were so many women in non-traditional positions here in Provincetown?
I think because the women who were here came here in the 60s and the 70s, and they came already empowered to do whatever. They were like wild women in a way. Gay women really, the truth is, we don't really care about what men think about us. I mean, like we're not encumbered with that. What will it look like to men? So this limit on your behavior is really absent. So if you have the desire, you could just go and do it. And that's what it was. It was just this spirit of just go do it. Who's looking? Nobody's looking.
And you said that had you already started photography before you got here?
Yeah. Yeah. I had started photography. And after I got fired, I worked at a newspaper.
And then you came here and you found refuge.
I came here and I found Marian, is
Yeah.
what I found.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you came with your camera and you started photographing right away. How did that start? How did you discover your artistic side here?
I was photographing the women. So I was doing a documentary kind of thing, and then I was photographing the landscape. And then I saw something about pinhole photography, and I was really, I liked the idea. I was trying to make money doing weddings and photographing things like that, and everything was the decisive moment. Like you look in the camera and you have to get the kiss. You have to get, so I'd look in the viewfinder and I think, oh, if I move a little to the right, it'll look like this. If I move a little to the left, it'll look, and it was so mental. It was just way too mental. Uh, so with the thing with pinhole photography is you just make a can into a camera and just place it somewhere and pull away a piece of tape, and it took the picture. So I didn't have to think about anything except maybe how long to keep the tape off the hole. And the first thing that really happened with me was I took a round tin, a cookie tin. I don't know if you know what 120 film is. It's fatter than 35 millimeter film.
Mhm.
It's 2.25 inches high, and it just filled the tin. And so I taped it to either side of the tin in the dark room, and I took it and I placed it somewhere, and then I pulled away the tape. And the picture that came out, because the 120 film is tightly rolled to put in the camera, the picture was wavy. And then I was gone. I was so gone because that was how I saw the world. So once I got rid of that linear plane, that linear focal plane, I was just in heaven. And so that's what captivated me. And then I just had to turn everything into a camera, and I turned a van into a camera. And that's basically what I got the Guggenheim for, was that work.
For the van?
Yeah.
So explain to us about the van. You had like a minivan.
I had a van that I bought from Irene Lipton for, I think, God, like $150 or some wonderful thing. They sold me this van. I built a wall between the back and the front, so there wouldn't be any light, so I could drive it, and there would be a compartment in the back, and you could slide the door sideways and get in. And then inside, everything was black. I blackened the windows, and, I put up a sheet of sheet metal.
Okay.
I put up a sheet of sheet metal, and I painted it white. I could manipulate the sheet metal so that it wasn't straight plane. You know what I mean? It was a giant piece of sheet metal that I could wrap around so I could have a nonlinear plane. And then I would put gigantic pieces of paper inside with magnets to the sheet metal and just drive somewhere and pull away the tape from the inside. I drilled a hole in the side. So it was a gigantic camera,
So the hole was about the size of, I mean,
maybe an eighth of an inch.
okay.
A drill, you
So
know,
just
a
have this-
kind of fat drill.
This tiny hole on the side of the van.
Yeah.
The hole inside of the van is black, but it has paper that has photosensitive material on it.
Yes.
And then you just pull the tape off that little hole, and then
And
what happens?
Then the light comes in, and you're sitting there away from the piece. I'm sitting there, and the world comes in upside down and backwards. And then I look at it and I go, wow.
So how long is this exposure when you take the tape
It was
off?
all trial and error.
Okay. But approximately it's just a fraction of a second?
Oh,
or
no,
a few
no,
minutes?
no. Because the distance between the aperture, the hole, and where the paper is maybe like, the width of a van. So it's like 3 feet. So that takes a long time for the image to penetrate, to come on and expose film. So it was probably a couple of minutes.
Well, that's a very imaginative way of approaching photography. Had you seen that somewhere else before? Would you
No, I had never seen it. But I did meet a man, an Israeli man. I met him at in Toronto. There was an international photography exhibition, and my work was in it. And he was an Israeli man, and he lived in France, and he had a van. And we didn't know each other, so that was a thrill to meet him.
You have a van? I have a van.
Yeah. His work was really different because
Yeah.
he would sit underneath buildings like the Eiffel Tower. And so everything was really distorted.
Mhm.
He had the hole in his camera was on the top. So not mine was on the side. So I had a more camera like what we see with our eyes. I had a more one-to-one relationship with the outside where his was on the top, his aperture. So he had to be underneath things like bridges. So, there were wild kind of shapes
That's
and then
very
he would
cool. Yeah.
sometimes he would lay on the paper. And so his body was like a shadow. You know what I mean? It was a resist.
I have
His name is Elon Wolf, by the way.
Elon Wolf.
Yes.
I have a bit of a similar journey because my degree's in photography also. I started as a photographer and I also went to do those weddings and portrait sessions and I was so bored.
Yeah.
I really hated that. And then I was trying to find more artistic ways to use the photography and that led me to being a painter now. But it's so exciting to hear somebody like you who can find an original way of using photography and show something completely different and new with it. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Is this something you still do?
I don't have a darkroom anymore. In 2003, I got breast cancer, and that was the end of my chemical life. And I have, it's been very hard for me to find ways to continue doing it. But what I'm doing now with pinhole, so actually, yes, I still do it. And I do it whenever I get the opportunity to convert something into something. And what I do is I create images inside the camera and then I photograph them with a digital camera. But it's still pinhole photography in my mind. But I've been painting and I've been doing lithography monoprinting and clay, and now I'm making paper. But deep in my heart, I just love photography. But, we don't have film anymore. All those things that I have such nostalgia for, you know, good photo paper, it just doesn't happen. It's not around anymore. But that's okay.
Welcome back. Just a reminder to follow us on Instagram at the Art Colony Podcast. And also, if you want to help us out a little bit, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com. You can go there, look for the Art Colony Podcast, and leave us a little tip. That will help us very much to keep this podcast on the air. Thank you very much for those who have donated. So let's go back. I want to go back to 1982, 1980 something.
Gracious, yeah.
That's also the time of when the AIDS crisis really hit.
Yes, indeed.
How did that affect your life at that moment?
It was my life at that moment. I, it's a funny thing, but because of AIDS, I met a lot of men. And of course, they would die. I was, I guess, in a way, there was a lesbian army uh, in Provincetown. I was one of the people that was involved in starting the PWA Coalition and
What does that stand for?
people with AIDS.
Okay.
It was a more like it wasn't a service organization particularly. I mean, the AIDS support group was the main service organization in Provincetown, and but the PWA Coalition was started by men uh, who wanted to change the story. Uh, the story was not that you were suffering from a disease, but that you were people with AIDS. You weren't victims of AIDS. So it was by its nature, of course, it totally appealed to me and its radicalism. Uh, and we put out a newspaper, a thing, Provincetown Positive, and we had buy-in clubs for remedies that were not accepted by the FDA. There was a lot of politics, as you know, around AIDS. And there were things that the support group couldn't do and the clinic wouldn't do, like aerosolized pentamidine, which was a remedy for pneumocystis pneumonia, but it wasn't approved by the FDA. So we tried to go to New York, buy stuff that was weird and crazy, egg lipids, all kinds of stuff, because people were desperate to find uh, things. And we brought people to town who were health people and kind of alternative people. And eventually, so that's what I did. I was a part of that organization. And I also was a driver for where we would take people, and this was through the support group. We would pick up people in Provincetown in a van and drive them to all the different hospitals in Boston and then wait for them and then one by one pick them up at the hospitals and bring them home. And we had, the people that I met, the men that I met who were really sick, you would form these kind of little buddy groups for them and cook for them. So it was our life, really. Um, I don't even know what I was doing. Well, one thing I was doing artistically was uh, I offered to photograph anybody with AIDS that wanted me to photograph them for whatever reason or whatever. So I started doing that. But it was just for those years, our life was really caring for people and trying to move everything forward a little bit.
And what years are we talking about?
The 80s, late 80s.
Did it go on into the 90s as well, or did things really start to change?
Things started to change. Well, first there was AZT. That didn't really change things much, but Uh, Actually, I think it did. There started to be more uh, remedies that were working, less men were dying. I don't remember the time period. I mean, you should ask somebody that was,
Okay.
that
And you said you were photographing on demand, let's say, but are there other ways in which that whole crisis and also the atmosphere it created, is there other ways that that seeped into your work as an artist?
It's funny. I was just having this conversation with Pasquale Natali and Jay Critchley because Amy Davies, who uh, does all the video work for the Art Association, is doing something about different art periods. And we were discussing whether or not how AIDS affected art. One thing was that all the artists gave work to the AIDS support group auctions, and the auctions were really big to do. So I gave a lot of my work that I had done before, but I AIDS didn't influence my work particularly because I can't even remember if I was doing any work or what I was doing. I was really just beginning to do the pinhole photography. So I was like in another planet with my work. I did one painting about people dying. It was crazy. I can't do political work. It just doesn't work for me. Uh, so my work has to be political. You know what I mean? I can't like literally address politics. Uh, anytime I've tried, it hasn't worked. But there were so many artists who were dying, and there was art magazines. There was a lot going on, but Pasquale, his work was definitely influenced by it, and Jay Critchley's work. But my work, I wasn't going through it emotionally, and except in my love for for the men. My work is my story. It wasn't my story, and I would be a fool to think that it was my story. It wasn't my story. I wasn't dying, and like cancer was my story. You know what I mean? I was there to help, to put myself in service, but it wasn't uh, the thing that moved me in my work. Does that make sense
It
to you?
does. And
I hadn't thought about
I don't
that
know if
before, but
anybody's ever taken the time to thank you for all that work,
oh yes,
but I do want to thank you for
thank
all that work. It's
thank you, honey.
extremely important and
Hmm.
meaningful. There's a saying, it takes a village.
Yes, it does.
And that really did happen in Provincetown at that point. But also, the concept of village shows up often in your art.
Yes, indeed.
I've listened to a whole bunch of little videos where you talk about the concept of village in your
Uh-huh.
art. You want to talk more about that?
I grew up in Brooklyn, which was not a village, and you know, uh, I have, but my people are shtetl people. My father's side was shtetl people, and my mother's side was shtetl way back a couple of generations before. My actual grandmother lived in the city in Ukraine, in Kiev, but her parents were shtetl people. Shtetl is a village, and I think that when I came to Provincetown, I realized that I was finally living in a village, and I had hungered. Uh, diaspora people hunger for home. And so that story of the hunger for home and the diaspora and the finding the village, and then maybe for my people, the village throwing you out, and then you have to go to another village. Uh, that's kind of become my story. And I didn't realize it until I came here and actually lived in a village. And I love that. I just, I've hungered that for that. It's where I want to be buried in Provincetown. And uh, but I don't know. I think the idea of diaspora and all the people on this planet who are in motion because they've been thrown out. They can't live where they are, or it's become unlivable where they are. Um, that story, I really, uh, Native people, we're living on their land, and it's not their land anymore. They don't, it's been stolen. So that's a real human story, and I identify with that story of displaced people.
And how does that show up in your work?
It's all over it.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on a piece now where the buildings are going away in the village. They're torn down, and then the people are moving.
This is work in clay?
No, this
No?
is work on paper.
On
It's
paper,
crazy.
okay.
But
Yeah.
when I was doing clay, I had little figures and globe, and they were all moving, and then I would draw on the clay, and they were just little villages. So it's just my work now, I
Mhm.
guess.
I saw also in an interview that you were drawing inspiration from the work of Marc Chagall.
Oh God, well, he's a village, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he just never stopped drawing his village. His village was filled with all those imaginary characters. It was very rich, people flying in the sky and yeah, Marc Chagall's big inspiration for me.
So, Marian, one thing I really admire about you is that you are an eternal learner. You seem to always be learning new techniques and trying to
Mhm.
find new ways to reinterpret your art. So,
Mhm.
what are you working on now? What new technique is in your work now?
Right now, I've been learning how to make paper, and I've been studying with Cheryl, and she's taught me how to make paper,
This is
and
Cheryl.
Cheryl Jaffe.
Okay, Cheryl
Okay.
Jaffe.
I took 2 paper making classes with her at Castle Hill, and, uh, I love making paper. Well, when I was a photographer, I loved paper. I've always loved paper. I have, like, an addiction to paper, and, the feel of the paper, and when I was doing my photography, the pinhole photography, I would get rag paper and paint the emulsion onto the paper so that it wasn't factory paper. The thing about paper making for me, it's little like clay in the sense that clay is so elemental of the earth. And the joy in paper making is you can make paper out of anything. You can make it out of vegetables, you can make it out of leaves, you can make it out of seaweed, you can make it out of anything.
Oh, I know this Cheryl. Yes, because that's what she does.
That's what she does.
Yes, because there's this event that happens about once a month at the Commons. They call it the Salon, where
Uh-huh.
people come and share their work and discuss each other's work,
Uh-huh.
a whole different types of artists. And that's where I met
Yeah,
Cheryl,
yeah.
who makes all types of paper. Sorry, I interrupted. Keep on
No.
going.
Well, Cheryl, when she teaches the class, she asks the class, "What is your relationship to plants?" I mean, I love plants, but it's paper that I really love. It's my relationship to paper and to making paper out of living or dead things, but things of nature. Like, I don't know, when is a leaf dead? You know, it's still, you can crunch it up and step on it, but then you can make paper out of it. So, and I like the cooking of taking whatever you're making, like seaweed, and cooking it and buzzing it in
A blender?
blender, and just like it's all hand. It's you get wet and dirty. I love that. I really like the earthiness of making paper, and uh, but then I have to find what to do with the
That was
paper.
my next question.
Yeah, so That's the thing. I have I have went crazy and I made a lot of paper out of everything. I'd go take a walk and I'd walk down Allerton Street and collect stuff on Allerton Street and make Allerton Street paper, with berries and grass and all kinds of stuff. Uh, but what to do with the paper? So now I'm collaging with the paper. Uh, I don't know if you know my work. I long been working with these black figures, dark figures that I've put on photographs, and so now the figures are on the paper, and
So
I'm
basically,
building little villages.
so basically, you have a photograph, but you modify the scene by collaging in figures and creating a whole different composition from that photo.
Yes, what that work started because my mother had dementia, and I brought her up here and moved her into Seashore Point so I could see her every day and I didn't have to literally feed her, and, uh, when I would go to Seashore Point every day, I'd see these people just kinda sitting there, and they were all Portuguese people from Provincetown mostly, and I wondered where are they going in their minds, and so I took photographs that I had that weren't working, you know, pinhole pictures that the negative was really beautiful, but the positive, eh, didn't look like much because the negatives were full size, were like giant sheets of paper. And so I started putting the people in them, these figures, like as if they were visiting, Beach Forest or the wharf. And so then this whole work became these people. And then I realized that the people were also me, and so that it all evolved from this original idea of taking someone and using the black figure because it had no dimension, no definition. It wasn't like a real person. It was
A silhouette.
a silhouette. I never understood the power of the silhouette before. The silhouette is very powerful image because it has no definition, yet you know what it is, you know, which is maybe a little bit like people with dementia. It's like it all was all melding together into this story of people, their shadows walking through. That's how that work started.
Hmm.
And now I have a friend, another artist, Susan Bernstein, really brilliant sculptor. And she told me, "Well, what about those black figures?" I said, "Oh my god." So I opened up the black figure box and now they're crawling all over my paper and and the village. So I make little villages and little figures. I'm just doing the same thing.
But I feel like in your work, one thing that's always there is the storytelling aspect. I
Yeah.
feel you're always trying to tell us a little story. Am I right?
Yes, you are right. And it's a funny thing. I have this I guess you might call her my art mentor. It's Judy Pfaff. She's a brilliant artist and I've taken classes with her but she doesn't do my same kind of work as me. And she loves my pinhole photography. But one time I showed her a pinhole photograph that had a figure in it and she said, "Oh, it's too lyrical." And I realized, yes, that's my thing. It's like poetry, you know? I'm a storyteller, so sue me. You
And
know?
do you have stories you still have to tell, stories you haven't told yet?
I hope so, or maybe it's the same story that I'm trying to resolve. Like, uh, this is something we don't get to talk about very much, which is I'm 81, I'm gonna be 82 in April, and at this age, I've kind of moved into another stage of development, and I think, do I how do I resolve some of these stories? So I have figures in them that are looking both ways, back and front. And that's kind of where I am right now. I'm looking back and I'm looking forward, but forward is the unknown. Very much the unknown. When you're young, you have a feeling about the future. But when you reach my age, you don't have a feeling about the future. The future is really unknown. What will happen to me? Uh, how long will I be here? Uh, so it's I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's really strange. And that's the story right now. And uh, I'm getting a really deep appreciation for looking at people's work and seeing what are they trying to tell me. Like, I know I have people who look at my work and they see a story, and I don't even see the story. I mean, I only know that this is my story because people like you tell me what my story is. The viewer, in a way, tells me but they're really looking. And I'm trying now to really look and see if I can feel the story in other people's work. Uh, but this is a very different place to be in than I've ever been in before. And maybe I need to find other artists my age to talk to them about how they feel about this, or do they see their work differently, or someone say to me, "Oh, you've really moved so far." Like, of course we're moving. you know, I'm not dead yet. You know what I mean? I am evolving, and but I am evolving. So if I'm evolving, then my work has to.
And this evolution is something that's very admirable, I think, in your work. Because you went from photography to painting to drawing to clay work and now making paper. I mean, that in a certain way keeps you eternally young as well, because
That's right.
you're
That's
always
right.
trying to arrive at something with completely new eyes.
Well, there's somebody somewhere once said that talked about the beginner's mind. And the beginner's mind is the most beautiful thing. I love the beginner's mind because it's all enthusiasm. That's how I am. It's like, I'm so crazy for making paper. I can't control myself. So in the beginning, you make mistakes, and you kind of show yourself what you're doing. And I, as you know, my story, I came really late to the game of being an artist. Like, I didn't really think about myself as an artist until I was 40. So I'm just 40 years old in my artwork. You know what I mean? Uh, and I want to try everything that interests me, that excites me before I leave this planet, or uh, because I get high off that beginning feeling. And even though I'm saying the same story over and over again, I'm enjoying myself. I'm playing, and that's what I like. I like to play.
And that's very important.
Yeah.
Playfulness is, I mean, it's everything in life.
Yeah, because, joy, you've got to find ways to have joy. Otherwise you're finished.
Okay, Marianne, we're coming to the end. We were almost reaching an hour already. So we're going to do our speed round.
Okay.
Okay.
Scary.
I'm going to give you two choices, and you...
I have a lot of trouble making decisions. I want you to know right off the bat.
Well, I hope they won't be too hard choices.
I used to have a hard time with IQ tests.
Oh.
Because I could see, and they'd say, what doesn't fit, but I could find a reason why everything would fit. So anyway, yeah. I hope I do okay.
Okay. So, painting or photography?
Oh, photography.
Why?
It's in my bones.
Do you still have a regular digital camera? Or do you do everything with a pinhole?
I have a pinhole app.
A pinhole app?
Yeah.
So you've adapted to technology. That's great.
I have to.
1980s or 2020s?
Oh, 1980s.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What makes you want to go back there?
Oh, it was rich. It was rich, and the world was different. The world was really different. It was innocent.
Yeah.
There were no digital nothing. It was analog.
I felt also, because I remember the 80s, I'm old enough for that. I remember the thrill of discovery at that
Mhm,
point because we didn't have the internet.
mhm,
And if we wanted to find out information, we had to put so much effort into it.
mhm.
If we wanted to find that one song playing on the radio, we had to put so much effort into finding who is this singer, what's the song. And there was such a thrill in discovering that. Now you just pick up your phone and you have the answer in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So there was a thrill to that as well.
And communication, you everything was face to face.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was beautiful.
City life or village life?
Oh, that's hard because each has tremendous joy for me. I'd take the village because I can't be in a city for too long anymore.
Yeah, I understand that. Watching the stars or watching the waves?
That's too hard. I could watch the waves longer than I can watch the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So I could watch the waves for quite some
Yeah.
time, where the stars, I can't, I only glimpse at the stars.
Have you ever done pinhole photography of the waves? Because they keep
Yes,
on
but the
moving, so that would be an
waves,
interesting.
yeah, it's like time lapse photography. You know what I mean? It's like where you keep the aperture open
Yeah.
and you put the camera on B
Mm-hmm.
bulb and you
Yeah.
just it all just levels out into a swish.
Yeah.
So it has its own look. But pinhole photography is different in the fact one of its powers is that the foreground and the background are equally in focus and it's all soft. So doing something that keeps moving doesn't enhance the look of.
Okay. It doesn't give it like this special something. It just makes
No.
it too blurry.
Yeah, it doesn't feed off its real power.
Okay. And last question, spicy or mild?
Oh, mild.
Mild.
I'm Jewish. All our food is mild. I can't eat anything spicy. When I was growing up, salt and pepper pepper we never put on anything.
Uh-huh.
Salt was the only seasoning we had, and I have not been able to. But in my life, I like spicy.
Okay, good.
But to the tongue, I like mild.
So symbolically, you like things to be spicy.
Oh yes, of course.
Well, good. Well, I'm very happy we're able to bring your spiciness to this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
It's been such an honor having you. I want to thank you so much. I'm so happy I got to spend this time with you. And you bring so much to this town. And I hope people are, being very grateful and let you know about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buy my work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Help.
And yes, where can people see your work?
Right now, I'm in On Center Gallery
Mm-hmm.
on Commercial Street, across from the library.
Do you have a website as well?
I had one, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So On Center Gallery.
Yeah. Well, you can come and hang out in my studio if you
I'd
really
love
want.
that.
Okay.
I'd love that. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.